Hello and welcome to From Pain to Passion, our both YouTube and podcast channel. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. We have just a really amazing story that you're going to get to hear. I happened to be privy to when this story was taking place because today we're interviewing my brother David, and his story to this day still just amazes me. Just again, that journey, we've gotten to hear quite a few journeys, and I'm always amazed at how many times it's our dark times, it's our painful spaces, it's our painful moments that eventually lead us to our passion and to our purpose. And it really helps to give hope, because again, when you're in rough spaces and rough spots, a lot of times you don't want someone saying, hey, it's going to get better, or you're usually not in a headspace to hear that. But it can be very helpful to just hear other people's stories and to see how those rough moments can actually lead you into greatness. So today we have David Spears on the show, and he's going to be sharing his story, what happened when he was 17 and how that has ultimately led him to doing something that he's so passionate about, and how it's helping so many people. So David, let's just start at the beginning. First of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Super excited.
So glad you're on.
For doing this. I know it's going to be impactful for a lot of lives. So
yeah,
thank you having me on.
Awesome. Well, so first question is, go ahead and tell our listeners just a little bit about your background. Just, kind of give us a little snapshot of who you were at that point at 17 years old when your accident happened and what happened.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is David, and I was 17 years old when my accident happened. And kind of going back to that framework of being 17, I know for me, I could only see so far. And so this was a really impactful thing, especially at that age. And it's kind of cool to look back on that time and see where I was just mentally, kind of that headspace I was in. So kind of long story short, I had a bad knee accident. It was Memorial Day weekend, and we went to a river, and we're going to do some canoeing, grill out, play volleyball, just have a barbecue on the weekend. So it kind of went south for me, unfortunately, but I was running on the bank of the river, and we're going to go tip a couple of our friends in the canoe. And when I was running on the bank, I tripped on a rock and I cut my knee. I've cut my knees, legs, 100 times. Didn't think much of it. So basically, I got a real bad infection in it and ended up having gangrene in it, and then 6 other bacterias. So, I'm 17. I don't really know what that means. Ended up kind of getting really sick, had to have emergency surgery done that night, and then had to have it done again just to clean the wound out. Had to stay in the hospital for 5 days. And after I got out of the hospital, then it was just appointment after appointment. So I had to have lab work done, make sure all the bacteria was out. I was on IV antibiotics in the hospital. I was on oral antibiotics once I got out. Thought I was over it, got another infection, staph infection, after I left the hospital. And the whole time thinking, like, this is just never going to end. This is never going to end. And I ended up being in therapy for quite a while. And I remember one night, if you've ever been in physical therapy, you have like your therapy days, then you have a list of exercises that you do at home. And in my case, I was supposed to do them, several times a day. And I remember one night after doing some exercises, and I couldn't bend my leg. It was completely straight. And I remember sitting on my bed and just crying and thinking, like, I'm never going to be able to walk again. Like, let alone run, let alone play sports. I played basketball growing up, very competitive. Any other sport I could play, I would do it. And so I remember just thinking, like, how do I get through this? How do I get through this? And, I did. Very fortunate and very thankful. But I remember that night very specifically, and I remember just feeling hopeless, and thinking, like, this is the end of the road for me. I'm going to have one leg that I can't straighten. I won't run. I might have to use a walker. It just kind of spiraled down. I'm 17, right? And so that has fortunately led me into kind of my career and what I'm doing today.
Now, when you look back at that time, and just remember, obviously that was a very dark season, 17 years old.
Mhm.
You're an athlete. You are kind of in the, at 17, you're kind of in the prime. Were you a junior
Yeah.
or senior at that point?
Junior. So I was going to be going into my senior year, playing basketball. And so, that kind of the plan for the summer, I think, was just like, work out really hard, get in the right shape for this upcoming season. And so like all of that was just, down the drain. Like this summer is just going to be rehabbing,
That's devastating. Yeah.
Yeah. So it went from a very, exciting time. You're like, wow, I'm just going to be happy if I can, straighten this leg all the way.
During that time, where was your just head space, heart space in regards to anything and everything?
Yeah. It, I think when you're 17, you have a very, kind of me focus, you haven't experienced a ton of the world. You haven't, you just haven't had that many life experiences. And this was by far like the toughest, life experience, that I'd had. And, I didn't really know how to cope with it, for a long time. And it was, thankfully through like a good support system through my faith, I had great physical therapists, that were very encouraging. And, it was the little wins that really kept me going. If I could bend my knee a little bit more, on one day, it's like, okay, like that's progress. One of the big sayings I love is, progress over perfection, because like, I think in dark times, like the little progress can keep you sustained. It can keep you going. And I know for me personally, it was the little things that kept me going and saying, okay, like let's do a little bit more this day. Let's do a little bit more this day. Like I'm headed in the right direction. But it was by far one of the toughest periods of my life. Just, not knowing what the outcome was going to be.
And what role did having family or friends, what did that play? What were the things that for you, because sometimes whether we have family members or friends who go through rough seasons, sometimes we don't know how to help them or how to be there for them.
Yeah.
What for you was very impactful in the way of family and friends that just helped you through that season? Because we know that family and friends could be incredible during that time, but then also they can be not incredible during that time. And sometimes because we just don't know. So what were the things that people said or did that was very, for you, that was just very life-giving during that season?
Yeah, a lot of it was really just them being present and me really feeling like it wasn't just me going through this. There's 6 of us kids, and we all love to be active, love the outdoors, love sports, and so like when one goes down, like you're missing a piece, right? And so it was pretty incredible, just like the support I had from family and friends, and like you're gonna get better, because a lot of times in those moments, like you have so much self-doubt, you have so much like, I don't know if this is gonna get better. And just having those friends, those family members say like, no, you will. Like, I know you can't see there, you can't see past this point, but like we can. And so I think I did a lot of borrowing of other people's faith, because at the times, like I didn't have any. And I think, now in my career and even just my family life and friends, like, I think it's really cool when we can be a resource for someone and we can be, encouraging for them and say, hey, like, I'm going to be your faith. I'm going to be the one believing that this is going to work, even when you can't. Because when you're in those periods, it's hard to see past it. And so if you have someone close to you that you can borrow their belief or their faith, I think it can keep you going.
That's awesome. So now, obviously, so you came out of it, and what do you do now? And then talk a little bit about that journey.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a nursing supervisor in emergency department. We're a level 3 trauma center, a stroke center, and then a sepsis certified hospital as well. So take care of patients, take care of our team, keep things running in the emergency department. So it's cool because, the accident kind of led me to where I am now. And I'm very grateful for that. So it was probably the summer after the accident or the next summer that I was really just, trying to figure out what I want to do as far as, career looks like. And previously I had been working in kind of health and fitness, aquatics, and nursing really had never been on my radar. I had friends who worked in nursing, family members who worked in nursing, but I had never thought about it. So my now wife, we were dating at the time. I was just talking to her about, like I really should probably figure out what I want to do. And so she's like, have you ever thought about nursing? And it's like, no, honestly, I haven't. So I kind of had like a list of things I wanted in, my career and job. And I started looking into it, started reading, started asking friends and family, what they like about it, what they don't, pros and cons. Whenever like I go into something new or make a decision, I try to do like a pro and con list and see, does this align with my values? Does it align with, what I want, X, Y, and Z to look like? And the more I looked at it, I was like, wow, this really checks kind of all the boxes. And so I knew I wanted to do nursing. Started out as a CNA, just to, I'd never worked in healthcare before. So it's like, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to, start from the bottom and build up. So, started working as a CNA, got a lot of great experience. During that time, I went through nursing school, graduated nursing school, and just kind of progressed and advanced. And it's been really cool just because I can reference, that accident when I was 17. I speak at some of the schools here about nursing, and I could kind of reference like, this was a pivotal point for me. And it's really cool to be able to reference that and always remember what it's like to be the patient. Always remember what it's like to, be hopeless, but have someone that's hoping for you. And I think I'm able to be more empathetic with patients at times, just because, even on my worst day at work, it's, the doors are blowing off. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. I'm still the one at work, and I'm not a patient, and I'm grateful because I'm still at work. Yeah. So the ER it's a wild place. You see, the best of humans and the worst of humans. You see how humans, staff, patients, families, how everyone responds to stress, and everyone copes differently. And so I think having a stressful time in your life, it can actually empower you if you are willing to go there, revisit it, learn from it, say, what can I take from this experience? Was it terrible? Yes. Would I wish it on anyone? No. But there are aspects of it that I can absolutely learn and take and implement into my life and my, career. So, I tell people like it was a very dark time, but I'm very grateful because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for it. And so I think anyone who's going through something, like, I would just encourage them to don't lose hope and borrow someone else's hope if you're hopeless, because where you can get from this, hopeless experience will be so much better, and you'll be better for it. But you have to be willing to, dive into it and look past, the injury or whatever it is that you're going through.
What would you say was the number one lesson you learned through that? Or maybe the top two?
Yeah. After that experience, I would say it kind of propelled me to say, like, I can actually do anything. I think if you have something really hard that you go through your life and you get past it, you can look back on that time and say, that was really, really hard. And it wasn't fun, but like I got past it. And so you kind of develop like this confidence of like, oh, like that, yeah, I can get through that. And so I would say that was probably the biggest lesson. That, and to also have empathy for others.
Because you went on and ran a marathon barefoot.
Did a couple half marathons. I did it without training, just kind of spur of the moment. One of our brothers decided to do it. Continue to play sports. I'm going to play basketball this afternoon. It's been one of those things that one of the goals was to not let my knee impact what I want to do or the distance. And so, did a lot of therapy with it, and I'm thankful today that it doesn't. It doesn't keep me from doing anything. And so from that, it's like, okay, like if I can get through this, I can get through, the next thing. Anything is possible if you just, you stay with it. It's hard, but, sticking with it and just putting in the time.
And what was the number one, what would you say from a mindset perspective? What was probably the number one mindset hack, if you will, or mindset that helped you? You talk about borrowing people's hope, but once that hope started to fuel you, where was your mindset? Where were you able to go with that?
Yeah. So kind of a couple of things. I think we always say, I wish I knew back then what I knew now. Because now I think being aware of just how big of a role like your mindset plays in things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think back then, I think if I knew what I knew now, I think I would have been a little bit more proactive of like doing things daily. Like even if it was unrelated to the action, of like little wins that keep me motivated, to keep me inspired to keep going. So as far as a hack, I would say just knowing yourself, because I think losing hope, depression, anything that gets you out of like bringing your A game, I think it's a slippery slope. So like it can be one thing that's a trigger, then you just spiral down. And so I think just being proactive, now in the ER, it's a very stressful environment. And so sometimes when you get everything at once, you're like, what do I do? And so taking a proactive approach of just saying, okay, like what's the priority? What is the main thing? And just trying to decipher, what is the next right move to take on this? So, and again, just the support system is huge as well.
Yeah. So last couple questions. Yeah. What is a book that you have read that you would recommend to everyone that has played a big role in your life or really hit home for you?
Can I pick two?
Absolutely.
So I would say my top two, one is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal book. Anyone and everyone should read it. And it's all about, he was in concentration camps, Nazi Germany, and he talks about how they can take everything from you, but they cannot take like your mindset and how you respond. This man had just the amount of trauma that he went through physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, every aspect. But he still talks about how they cannot take his freedom to like what he thinks. So that is definitely one. And then I would say The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And that is all about like what we do every day repeatedly. It has a compound effect. And that can be anything. It can be good habits, bad habits. So like if you look at how your life is, it is the way it is because of a compound effect of your decisions you make.
Yeah.
And that can either be really good or they can be really bad. And so that was a really instrumental book for me to just say, okay, like these daily habits that I'm going to do, these will shape how my life looks in, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
And so it really just kind of brought to mind, like, I better make conscious, good decisions daily and, develop good habits with it. Mm-hmm. So 2 books that I highly recommend.
Beautiful. And last thing, what is one quote that you hold dear?
Oh, one quote. I would say you are what you repeatedly do. And I can't remember who said that. Someone famous, but I think about that often.
Awesome. Good. Well, David, if people would like to get a hold of you or reach out in some way, whether it's for encouragement or advice during a rough season, do you have a way that they can, whether through social media or where?
Absolutely. On Facebook, so David Spears, you'll find me. But yeah, if you have questions, if you're on a hard time, I'd love, reach out. Love connecting with others. And even if you just want to talk, if you're interested in nursing, reach out. Love to share a little bit more and answer any questions. I'll be helping hand if I can.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much. Time is one of the most beautiful assets we have because once it's gone, we don't get it back. So I am so grateful that you chose to spend some of your moments with us and for sharing that story. It's vulnerable to share our rough spaces, but it's also so rewarding, and it's amazing what that can do for other people. So thank you for just giving them your time and your heart today.
Thank you so much for having me, Marianne. Thanks for everything you're doing.
All right, you guys, have an awesome week, and we'll be back soon with the next story. From Pain to Passion. Come follow us on social media, From Pain to Passion, as well as just on Facebook, on Instagram, all the social media things. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you soon.